6:36 now this morning, and the House of Representatives is adjourned for Christmas, and they leave Capitol Hill before voting on the Plan B tax bill. Republican leaders say it wasn't brought to the floor there because there weren't enough votes to pass the bill. Plan B would have extended the Bush-era tax rates for people with incomes of less than $1 million. Democrats say that even if Plan B were passed, it would have been rejected by the Senate. Well, we are joined now live by Bill Cassidy, who represents Louisiana's 6th District. Thank you so much, Congressman Cassidy, for joining us this morning. Can you explain a little bit about what happened last night on Capitol Hill that led to this no vote?
Yeah, Speaker Boehner had a tax package which would, as you mentioned, keep Bush-era tax rates for those with less than $1 million income. He didn't have the votes to get it passed. He pulled it from the floor.
Oh, wow. And in addition to that, what do you think that the plan is now that the House is in recess and in order to try to get this thing passed by the time it expires?
Well, we are told to plan, the House is told to plan on coming back on the 27th. The Senate's already gone home, and I'm not quite sure where the president is. What Speaker Boehner said is, listen, we just need to go back to the House members as we reflect the people from our own districts, come up with a plan that hopefully the Senate and the president can buy into. We've been working at this, and frankly, the Senate's gone home and the president's not here. So maybe this will point where all three institutions or parties need to come together and find a solution that works for the United States economy.
And in your opinion, what is the breaking point on this? Why can't everybody agree?
Yeah, great question, Randy. Republicans are very much focused on growth. We understand that not only do we need more revenue, and there's a way that economists say that you create more revenue without hurting the economy, but we need growth. If you look at the president's plan or what the Senate has recommended, economists generally say that raising rates will inhibit growth. We need people to keep their jobs and have better paying jobs next year. That's where Republicans are. Also, Republicans want to decrease government spending. The president's been much less interested in that. The Senate's not been interested at all. And so if we don't get our spending under control, frankly, our country cannot sustain its economy.
And it is hitting crunch time there. Congressman Cassidy, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Congress is now on break for the Christmas holiday, but before leaving, the House GOP Speaker put off a vote on the fiscal cliff.
Yeah, a lot to do when they come back, and with the deadline to get a new deal done now just 10 days away, we're wondering how Congress will move forward to reduce the nation's deficit. Joining us now by satellite with more on this is Congressman Bill Cassidy of Baton Rouge, who will actually represent St. Charles and St. John parishes in January. Congressman, thanks for joining us. First of all, a very good morning to you. And we know that Plan B was dropped, so does this begin back from the drawing board? What do you think the chances of getting this deal done by the new year are?
Well, frankly, probably not great getting it done by the new year. On the other hand, if things push off into the next year, that's not the end of the world. It's easily doable. We can make that, that can still happen.
Do you feel that Boehner is the person who should remain Speaker? Do you plan to, what do you think of his leadership through all of this?
I think the Speaker's been trying to pull the load by himself. The President and Senator Reid have not come up with any substantial proposals of their own. And so in our constitutional system of government, the President and Senator Reid are supposed to come and help the Speaker. They have not. As an example, President Obama's budget lost 0 to 97 in the Senate and 0 to 435 in the House. That was not a serious proposal. We need the President to come forward with something serious.
And Congressman Cassidy, I know that you're a doctor out in Baton Rouge. How do you see the progress is being made on the Medicare and Medicaid debates as it relates to the fiscal cliff?
Those are great questions. I work in the public hospital system. I actually teach with LSU. I still see patients with LSU. And one of my big concerns is that Medicare is going bankrupt within 12 years. The President has not put forward any serious proposal to address that. Medicaid is bankrupting states, increasing the federal government indebtedness, and the President has not advanced a program to address that. Those are two things I am personally investing a lot of time in. I will consider the President to have a serious proposal when he comes forward with things that will improve these two programs, both strengthen them and preserve them for those who are on it and those who might be in the future.
Congressman, will you be in favor of any tax increase?
Yeah, I think what you really are talking about, if I may say, is revenue increases. Economists say that the way to increase revenue without hurting the economy is by limiting deductions. And Republicans have consistently pushed for this. The president, for whatever reason, really wants to have higher rates on some people. You can get at the same place if you limit deductions.
Now, when you talk about deductions, I'm sorry, when you talk about deductions, are you talking about...
But the Congressional Budget Office, by the way, recommends the Republican approach.
And when you talk about deductions, are you talking about for mortgage, for charitable deductions? What kind of deductions?
The recommendation is that you would limit, say, to $50,000 or $100,000 the amount that someone could deduct, and then they can fill that with whatever deduction they wish to do. So how that works, imagine Bill Gates, when he gave $20 billion to the Gates Foundation, he did not pay a penny of taxes on those $20 billion. If he had been subject to capital gains, he would have paid at least, I don't know, $6 billion or something like that. And so if you limit the deductions, the average taxpayer will more than be covered. It's going to be the very high-end people, like Bill Gates, who would end up contributing more. And economists say that's the better way to go in terms of raising revenue but not hurting the economy.
Congressman Cassidy, we're out of time. We could sure talk about this all morning, and I know Congress has a lot to talk about that when they return, but thanks for joining us this morning.
In reaction, Baton Rouge Congressman Bill Cassidy says taxes just can't be raised on the wealthy. Spending needs to be cut as well.
The Congressional Budget Office and others have stressed that we need to cut spending dramatically if we're going to have a more prosperous future. Whenever you restructure an economy like that, it's going to be really tough to do.
Now Cassidy and like most other congressmen are headed home for the holiday.
Well, we're less than 2 weeks away before going over the fiscal cliff. Republicans, Democrats working to find common ground to avoid tax increases and spending cuts. Well, joining us now to talk about that as that clock ticks, Louisiana Representative Bill Cassidy, live from Washington, D.C. Good morning to you, sir. And quick question, I guess, to start this. You know, we've reported Speaker of the House and the President, many phone calls. They've met in the White House, but yet now it sounds like the Speaker is kind of going down his own road. Is this progress? What do you call this?
Well, Doug, anything that's moving the ball forward, I suppose, is progress. But I think the Speaker was concerned that President Obama, after campaigning on spending cuts, really wanted more revenue, if you will, than he wanted to actually address our fiscal problems. So he's come up with a plan, Speaker Boehner, that would make permanent low tax rates for almost all Americans. I think it's good. I'm a doctor who works in a public hospital, so I know that the lower income, but also middle income and small business people need certainty. This would provide that certainty. I think it's a pro-growth policy.
Now, you're involved in many House committees there in D.C. What is your job, I guess, in the ongoing negotiations right now?
Well, you know, again, I mentioned that I'm a doctor. And I work in the Earl K. Long Hospital in Baton Rouge, similar to LSU Hospital in Shreveport. So I know that Medicaid and Medicare are under tremendous strain. Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 12 years. The president has not really offered anything to shore it up. So what I've been working on is how can we strengthen and preserve these programs so that they stay there for those who are on it and will be there for those of us who sooner or later will be, as well as strengthen Medicaid so it doesn't bankrupt our state or the federal government, but continues to provide that safety net function.
Representative, just about 15 seconds here. Christmas just around the corner, New Year's Eve. Time's running out. In your gut, is something going to get done that's not just going to be a Band-Aid fix at the last second?
Well, I can't guarantee that, but I think something will be done. Small business people need certainty. We need a pro-growth policy. I would like to think that not just Republicans think that, but also Democrats. And so I would like to think, Doug, we can pull this off. If it goes over into the next year, that's not ideal, but it would be better than having something which hurts growth.
All right, sir, thank you very much. Live from Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining us.